Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Dude here, and today we're back with a brand new setup video. Now this one is actually for the Volkswagen Beetle GR3 car. This is one of the cars that has been requested quite a bit here in my comment section in the past, and a little bit more recently. Now, I've never really been a huge fan of this particular car, but in this game, I actually think I enjoy it quite a bit more than I did in Gran Turismo Sport. And we're going to go over the setup, as well as some of the strengths and weaknesses of the car with the setup equipped. But quickly, before I get into that, if you guys do enjoy the setup and or the video, clicking the subscribe button really helps get my video out into the algorithm. 79% of the people who watch these videos are currently not subscribed. Also, leaving a like and comment really helps me out a lot. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about the Volkswagen Beetle GR3. So of course, today we're going to be looking at the Volkswagen Beetle GR3 in its maxed out form, just to get the maximum potential of what this car can do. Now, this setup can be adapted for BOP. The only thing I would really recommend changing with the BOP or a lower power level would be the transmission. But here, maxed out, honestly, the Volkswagen Beetle doesn't really blow you away with its straight line speed. It is extremely light, which means they should be good on tire wear. But yeah, overall the stats, especially the straight line ones, don't really blow anyone's mind. However, I do think the strengths of this car lie in its high speed cornering potential. It's top tier in the GR3 category. It's very stable while achieving that cornering as well. It can go through some of the higher speed corners and the mid speed corners extremely quick. Just like GT Sport, it does have really great low to mid range acceleration as well, despite the low top speed, and it really does a good job of hiding the fact that it has a low top speed. It's just when you hit that 5th, 6th, and 7th gear, you really start to notice this thing struggle down the straights. And of course, the weakness is its aforementioned top speed, just not very good. Probably one of the slowest in the category, definitely not the slowest. There are some much slower GR3 cars top end wise. But yeah, this is definitely on the lower end of what you would expect from a GR3 car. It also has a massive tendency to step sideways coming out of low speed corners. This is probably more pronounced than it was in Gran Turismo Sport. It is a little bit tricky out of the low speed corners, and it will get you when you least expect it because of the way the turbo works. It's very punchy and has good acceleration, but if you can't put the power down to the ground, that is a bit of a problem, so it's something you should watch out for. So into the setup of the Volkswagen Beetle GR3 here, it does look very familiar. Obviously, a lot of my front engine cars like the Corvette and the Z4 and some of those other front engine cars that I've done do look very similar to this setup, and that's because this setup really works well for front engine GR3 cars in this particular game. Now, if you're running on a track that is more handling based and has less straights than Trial Mountain, for instance, which is where I test a lot of these cars at, you may want to raise the rear ride height slightly, or even maybe a lot. But generally speaking, the straight line advantage that you get from running it slammed will outweigh the cornering benefit from raising the rear ride height. Also, with this car's really bad traction, I would like to lower the acceleration sensitivity a little bit more, but unfortunately you start to get one wheel peel where the car's revs start to blip and then they drop and you lose a bunch of acceleration. So that's pretty much the minimum of what I felt you could run the acceleration sensitivity before it starts compromising your exit speed. But yeah, the setup is very basic, very easy to understand, and it works. As for the transmission, we actually have a 7-speed gearbox today. Now, again, this car is not a top-end monster, so I don't recommend running it on tracks with extremely long straights, but I do try to get the gears extremely close together to kind of stay in the power band as much as possible. I do think you want to short shift this car very slightly before it starts blinking on the rev bar. I mean, it's not really that critical. The power band is very forgiving, although it doesn't really pull very hard in the top end, of course, because I think it's because of the shape of the car. It's a bit of a brick, but this transmission should work extremely well for maxed out racing. Again, if you're running on a track with a shorter straightaway, or you're running less than 789 horsepower, which I know many of you will be doing, moving that final gear value of 3.115 to the right, maybe to 3.3, even 3.4 in some cases, may be extremely helpful if you're running less power or running on a track with a shorter straightaway. But yeah, overall, you want this car to be at the end of 7th gear on the longest straight of whatever track you're racing at. There's really not too much to say about the Beetle. It handles extremely well, and I recommend running it on tracks that don't have extremely long straightaways or spend a lot of time on straightaways. This car can benefit a lot from mid to high speed corners, long high G-force corners. It's extremely good. But without further ado, guys, let's get into the lap. So here we are at Trial Mount Circuit in the VW Beetle GT3 car. Again, Short shifting this car very slightly before it starts blinking down the straights. Coming to the line now in 6th gear. We're going to hold 6th gear all the way to the corner here. Little bit of brake pressure here, not too much. Actually, just a lift, really, and you go through this corner extremely, extremely fast. One of the fastest cars in that section in the entire category. Really like to brake nice and early. Don't let it slide on entry. Again, 3rd gear on the exit because this car is a little bit twitchy at low speed. Using 2nd gear here. Staying right off the wall. Setting up this section very nicely. Don't want to fall all the way to the outside because you got to get back to the right just to set up this next corner down the big straight. This exit is extremely important. And we get a good one. And again, once we get to about 5th gear, 6th gear, this car's acceleration starts to plateau quite hard. Into 7th. 187, hard on the brakes. You can brake really late with this car. Get the car rotated, a little bit of entry understeer at low speed, I noticed. But on the exit, again, if you can put down the power, it accelerates well out of those corners. Full throttle to the follow-up section, easy. This corner, a little bit tough on the exit. Use all the track on the exit. Hard on the brakes here. Get the car as low as you possibly can. Little bit of snap oversteer, but we correct it. Stay in the throttle. Brake right at the beginning of that beginning of the end of that shadow anyways. The car rotated here, set it up. Give yourself as much space as you possibly can to exit this quickly. And we gain quite a bit on our ghost there to finish the lap. Coming to the line at 141.490. Now that is a fast machine, especially considering this track has a lot of straights. It's actually very, very fast. I imagine on a more handling intensive track, this car will be even better relative to its peers. One thing you may also notice is the DBR9's time has improved a lot on the leaderboard since the last couple of videos. I've actually updated the setup to that car because when I first released that setup video, it was early in the game and I felt like my setup wasn't optimized because I hadn't fully learned the tuning in this game yet. So if you want to go check that out, go check out my community tab, and that car is honestly one of the best GR3 cars in the category, maybe the second best. So yeah, I recommend that. But as for the Beetle, once again, what a machine. Handles extremely well, is a fan favorite, and is definitely going to piss people off when they realize that they're losing to a Beetle. So if you guys did enjoy this video and or the setup, I greatly appreciate it if you click the like button as well as the subscribe button and leave a comment to which car you would like to see me set up next. I'll be more likely to get to that setup in the future. But other than that, guys, it's been Dude, and I'm out. Peace.